Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Observable Flutter. My name is Craig Labenz, and I'm your host. And today, my guest and I are going to continue our campaign from last week, where we began to explore agentic apps in Flutter, what it takes to build them, using a recent Flutter code lab on color picking as our starting ground. And today we are going to actually make some changes to code to do a different agentic task in Flutter. At least that's the goal. That's what we're setting out to do today. So let's get into it. As you may recall, this is the Flutter community. So let's do our best to treat each other as such and live up to the reputation that we have for ourselves. All right. My guest is the same as last week. The one, the only, the Andrew Brogdon. Andrew, welcome to Observable Flutter.
Hello. Let me get caffeinated up and ready to go.
So, are you feeling ready?
I am feeling ready. I feel like we did a lot of exploration in the last one, and now we're ready to actually get a little bit of code onto into our editor. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we did. No, I don't think we made a single change in the editor last week. We talked about rewriting the prompt. We did rewrite the prompt. We sat in the Gemini terminal a lot, but no actual.
Yeah, we talked a big game. I'll just put it out there. We talked a really big game last time. Not a lot of ASCII going into a text editor.
No code was harmed in the making of last week's stream.
Yeah, but this is the Build Agentic Apps campaign. That's what we're doing. We're learning. Right. We're exploring. It's meant to be fun. Nobody's should feel pressured. It's more an exploration anyway. So
yeah. So what I was thinking we do today is basically revisit how the code lab works, because I think the changes that we make today will just seem kind of random and uninstructive to viewers if they don't have a sense of the bigger picture in which we're making these modifications. And then we can probably just dive right in.
Yeah, I think, and let me just sort of jam this in here. The sort of plan that we're talking about today is, I think, the way that we intended folks to use these starter kits that are now public. By the way, if you search for building agentic apps, you can find it on the Flutter website, flutter.dev or Angular, which is we have a starter kit that's sort of the structure and the shell of something, and you can download that, you can clone that, you can mess with the system prompt where you're telling the LLM what kind of agent you want it to be. You can mess with the tools that you're giving it. And by doing those two things, you can take an agent that was doing one thing and make it do a thing that you're interested in. And so that's kind of the process that Craig and I have worked out for today.
It is. That's true. All right. Shall we do it? Well, someone says, what's with the sound? Well, I don't know. What is with the sound? Is it bad? I'm going to click my audio. No, I'm using the things that I'm supposed to be using. What are you hearing?
Maybe I'm not using the right thing.
Yeah, your voice is maybe not coming through your good microphone. That is possible. All right, someone else says the sound is good. So we will plod on like the pioneers we are. All right. So I am being greeted warmly by my IDE, because another thing that we're going to do today, is try to have Gemini do most of the work. Now, I'm not personally a big vibe coder, so I do not have a personal prohibition on reading and understanding the code that Gemini produces. So it'll be like vibe coding adjacent, I guess. If Gemini writes something mostly correct, Andrew will be right there with me. We will read it and fix it ourselves instead of just hoping Gemini can figure out the problem. That, I think, is the form of vibe coding that will work for me. So let's reacquaint ourselves with the starting point, understand a little bit about the architecture, how the relevant pieces of code all come together, and then we'll start performing changes. So I will launch the app, and I have to type run, don't I?
The laborious first run. By the way, I see apparently the complaints about the sound were me. I've switched microphones. If somebody could let me know if this is a little better. Hopefully I sound like smooth jazz 98.7 now on my fancy microphone.
I think it sounds better. Folks, yeah, let us although it sounds like we may be at the end of the road for changes that we can make. So this is what we're getting. All right. The app is building. Slowly.
Doesn't just make you love Hot Reload all the more?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, so here be the app, and you describe a color that you want. Last time we had a silly one of my choosing. Andrew, do you have a prompt that you'd like to go with for the color?
Oh, goodness. How about the color of expensive cheese?
The color of expensive cheese. All right. Actually, I don't know if we even have to say the color of. That's super baked in to this whole thing. So it's thinking. It's certainly cheese. Yeah. I couldn't.
Like it says aged cheddar in there, and I was like, oh, I guess it went with aged cheddar, and that's literally what it went with.
Okay. Is aged cheddar considered expensive? I don't know.
Probably depending on where you get it, you know.
Okay. Everything's expensive if you get it at Whole Foods. So
there you go.
All right. So anyway, this is the code lab. You describe a thing, and the LLM interprets what you're talking about and turns that into a color. And then there's some tool calling in the code, and that is that's in there to signify when the LLM is successful at having chosen a color. It will kind of programmatically indicate that to you. It is not up to your code to actually interpret the LLM's response and figure out, like, is there a color in here that I could show? The LLM indicates it by saying, yes, you told me that I could call this set color function, and I'm ready to, and here are the parameters. And then it is up to us, the developer, to actually call that function. And that's what leads to it showing up on the screen. Now, what Andrew and I want to do instead is, and you will recall this if you both watched last week's stream and have some sort of functioning memory, that we're going to take headlines from a mocked news RSS feed and have a pipeline that selects a human, the person, the user of the app is going to select their favorite headline from the list. And then the LLM will go off and generate an image inspired by that headline. And we will show the image in this place instead of this color. And in doing that, we're hoping to explore interacting with a multi-step prompt. Like right now, it's just figure out a color, though there's kind of a multi-step thing here in that if the LLM doesn't feel like it has enough info, it'll come back and ask clarifying questions. So multi-step, first pick the headline, then do the image generation. We're going to explore what it means to build that kind of an app. And we're also just going to we're going to dive deeper into how all of this code connects by seeing it and touching it and changing it ourselves. And we'll see some different surface area of these APIs because we're also going to get an actual image back, and we'll need to decode the bytes and show them on the screen. Any other commentary, Andrew?
No, I don't think so. I mean, what we're trying to build here isn't too terribly complicated, right? It's going to be the system prompt. We'll have 3 maybe function calls, that we offer the agent, and then we'll have a finishing state where we sort of display the final output, right?
Yep.
So having said, oh, this should be no problem, it will of course get squirrely, I'm sure.
Indeed.
Because that's what happens when I'm on a live stream. But yeah, everything is so expensive. I agree with that. Stuff costs more than it used to. Nickel used to get you 2 movie tickets and all-day rides on the streetcar. It doesn't anymore.
The expenses are too darn high. Okay, let's start making some changes. So I'm using Gemini Code Assist. Obviously, there's a lot of great products out there. This is just what I'm using. You could use any of them. And the first place that I think we need to make changes is in the system prompt. As I was thinking about this over the week, kind of settled on like working like inside out, like starting in the core of the system, where I would say the system prompt itself is the most core aspect. And then outside of that, the next layer outside of that is the LLM code that actually uses the system prompt, and then the tools, and then we're going to get to the UI and make changes. And if we're able to do all of those things, we might see an image on the screen at the end of all of this. So let's start asking Gemini to write us a new prompt, and then we will put that code in here instead. So it begins. Let's see here. I want to reimagine this app to complete, let's see here, the following multi-step task. 1, we're going to have a mocked RSS feed. So how do we want to phrase this? Like load an RSS feed, and that'll be a function call that just returns the mocked data. Is that right, Andrew?
Yeah, like fetch news headlines or something like that.
Okay, fetch a news headline. Fetch a news feed from an RSS feed using the fetch news tool, which we're going to have to describe later. Then the second one is going to be ask the user to select their favorite headline. And then we're going to generate an image inspired by the user's selected headline. And then the fourth thing will be show that image where the app currently shows the color by using the show image tool. Are there any other tools we're going to need here?
Because I think all of these are like tools that will give it, right?
Yeah.
Here's a question. Should we have a step in there that says extract the 3 most interesting headlines, like in between 1 and 2, to say like fetch the news feed.
Okay.
Select the, determine the list of headlines that are in it. Yeah. Select the 3 most interesting ones. Ask the user which of those 3. I don't know how granular we need. This would be a part of the exploration. Right. It's like how granular do we need to be with the model?
Extract the headlines from the RSS feed and select the 3. Oh, do we want to select the 3, or should we just show them all to the user? Well, we could select the 3.
We can figure out which goes
and select
easier.
The 3 most interesting headlines. Allow the user to select their favorite headline from the 3 selected by using the pick favorite headline tool. Oh, another thing that I'm realizing I don't have a clear sense of, but we'll probably end this stream with a better sense of, is like the return type on these tools. Right? Because the set color tool from the original Code Lab has inputs, but its output is a side effect of the UI. It doesn't return data that goes back to the LLM.
It's just like a void function.
Exactly. So fetch news is actually going to be the opposite, where, maybe it would have the RSS feed as the input. We're going to mock this out, so that won't matter a ton. But then it obviously, its result is more data. So it returns a list of strings, essentially. And although it returns a list of strings if we combine this with it. And then we need to feed that data back into the system. So we'll have to explore how that all works. All right. I think we can run this pretty soon. Oh, no, I haven't even told it what to do yet. Can you rewrite And then we can use a file pointer here and say system prompt.md, and that's going to be in step 7 because that's the only thing we're working on. Can you rewrite system prompt md to accommodate this? And note that this prompt should handle all phases of the task, and the LLM should be instructed to determine where in the flow the user currently is. If that works, I think that would be really nice. And then lastly, I like Brett's level of detail and structure and whatnot. So please preserve the existing prompts, structure, and level of detail. How does this all strike you?
I think that's pretty much what we want. I'm curious what it's going to come up with.
All right. And now it is thinking again.
Millions of TPUs are clicking into action.
All right, we're getting a new thing here. Let's see. So you are a creative assistant integrated into a desktop app. Your job, right. You can't scroll until it's done emitting everything because it keeps resetting. Okay, now it's done. Now we can scroll. You are a creative assistant integrated into a desktop app. Your job is to guide users through the process of discovering news headlines, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that sounds good. Your capabilities. This is my level of detail.
This is how I review your code on GitHub too. Blah, blah, blah. It seems fine.
That's funny. Okay, you can understand. Oh yeah, capabilities. You can understand user requests to start the news discovery process, process news data, and okay. So again, I think this is what's super important here. So fetch news fetches the latest news headlines from predefined RSS feeds, returns a list of headlines. So it's got extraction here. That's good. Pick favorite headline, presents exactly 3 headlines to the user for selection. Oh, you know what? I don't think returns a list.
I was just looking at that and being like, we're just gonna give it the raw RSS feed that we've mocked up. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, and we'll just make this change ourselves here. Can I type in this spot? No. So this will be after we apply it, which means I'm going to preview the change and apply it now so we can make this edit before I lose track of it. All right. So I'm switching reading over to the prompt file itself, fetch news. So it doesn't return a list of headlines. It returns the raw RSS data. Returns the raw, unprocessed RSS feed. Period. Oh my goodness. All right. Presents exactly 3 headlines to the user for selection, requires a list of 3 headlines as input, and returns the headlines selected by the user.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, show image generates and displays an image in the app based on a textual description or concept derived, blah, 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 requires an image generation URL. Okay, this seems like vaguely correct. We'll see when we get to that. I think there's
the input there is going to be the bytes of this is going to be a fun thing. I don't know about function calling with like raw byte, like a byte list. So it'll be fun.
Yep. Me either. So there's definitely, we've got some handoff here that I think it's currently very fuzzy. Of like, we don't yet have the extraction of the headlines from the raw RSS. And there's some, again, hand waving around the picking of the 3. So we'll see if this is spelled out later or anything like that. Okay. How to respond to user inputs. You need to manage a multi-step process. Always determine the current step based on the conversation history and tool responses before proceeding. Love it. Step 1, initiate news fetching. Trigger. User expresses interest to start. Love that. We were wondering like what the first domino of this was in the stream last week. The action here, acknowledge, call fetch news, example response. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Tool call fetch news. Cool. Seems good. Now we're hand waving past the extraction of the headlines from the RSS or from the XML. Next thing, headline selection. Successful completion of the fetch news tool call is the trigger. Oh, I see. Oh, this is really nice. I don't actually remember if this was in Brett's thing, this trigger and action thing.
Not this format, no.
Okay, this is good. Providing a list of headlines. So I think we have to change this. Providing, it's not a list of headlines. This is providing the raw XML. Providing the raw XML of the news feed. So the action here, now maybe this is where we can put the extraction of all the headlines. And so extract, actually, let's just have another action here. One will be extract the raw, there seems to be 2 spaces. I will preserve the formatting. Extract the raw headlines from the XML. And then 2, analyze the extracted headlines and select the 3 you find the most interesting or visually evocative. 3, explain to the user that you've selected 3 headlines and need them to choose one for image generation. 4, call the pick favorite headline tool, passing the 3 selected headlines as input. Very good. And this example seems wonderful.
So we'll call which one sparks joy.
Yeah. Yep. Step 3, image, concept, and generation. Trigger 6 is the successful completion of this other tool. I like it. The action here, acknowledge their choice, interpret the selected headline, and formulate a creative concept or prompt for an image that captures its essence. Good. We were wondering last week about like showing the user the different prompts. I think we just skipped that. That'll be another, maybe you would do that in a real app, but for our purposes, that would be a repeat of the concept of picking the favorite headline. So I don't think we need to service that to the user. Call the show image tool. Now we haven't generated the tool. We haven't generated image yet. So this seems premature because first it needs to generate the image. Example response, blah, 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 display confirmation. Yeah. So it's got show image, which I think is like down here. It seems to have confused show image and generate image. So I think we may need to add a 4th tool of generate image that will make the call to Imagen or whatever. So I'm going to go back up to tools and add a 4th one before show image.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. Like because we have technically 2 models that we want to talk to.
Yep. Generate image will be, let's see, generates. Oh, yeah, this says generates and displays an image. Oh.
That should just be display an image.
Yeah. Which I mean, show and display. Yeah, pretty. Yeah. Oh, I see. You're talking about the description. Yes.
So I would take out displays an image, and then I think this is I think the smart thing.
Yeah.
So and again, thinking about like this is a toy app, but like thinking about this in the real world, like I would want to have, if I was going to ship this, I'd want to have like evals for how well the images are being generated.
Yeah. Generates an image from an evocative. Actually, it doesn't. It's not this thing doesn't care how evocative it is. Generates an image from a prompt. I don't really know if we have to put anything else in that. Okay, so now step 4, the successful completion. Sorry. Yes, we're on step 3. The trigger is still the completion of pick favorite headline. And the action is now called the generate image tool, passing the prompt passing the image generation prompt, I'll say. So example, excellent choice. Headline suggests blah, 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 blah. I'll now create an image based on that tool call. And so this is generate image with the prompt generate. Okay. I love it. We also had this step of like generate a prompt from the headline, and then that prompt kind of got like way more conceptually distant from the actual headline. So I think the output will be more fun and more clearly like, yeah, that's that headline if we remove that intermediate, like inflate the prompt and make that super colorful. So I kind of like this actually, in terms of feeling like we didn't just get a random image at the end. All right, there's a lot of chat, by the way. I haven't really been able to read any of it, and I will at some point when Andrew is talking. All right, then the fourth headline, or the fourth thing here, is show image, but the successful completion of that is actually now generate image. And this is going to provide a brief confirmation the image has been generated and it's not been displayed yet. That's what we are doing. Offer a concluding thought. No, this will be, I guess we could offer a concluding thought, whatever, that's fine. I've generated an image of headline B. I aim to capture blah, 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 blah. And then we need some tool calling. So that would be this. And the tool call didn't capture that tab for me. Generate image. We want show image with the, why was that cut off? Interesting. Okay. The original one is cut off at least. So call show image with the raw image data. And then we'll have to figure out like what that data looks like. Okay. State management. Oh, this seems rich. Let's see here. It is crucial to track the current step in the process. Indeed, it is. Idle, fetching news, awaiting selection, generating image, displaying image. We have separated out displaying image. And this is basically just, we're not really waiting for anything. I mean, I guess we're just, this is interesting. They're all like waiting for the tool to complete.
Yeah.
I think this is just, I'm going to try, maybe this will break. I don't know. Calling the show image tool. And then this needs to be generate image.
Yeah. Which is like from the perspective of the model, like I guess it is just, it's like I gave you an output, now I'm waiting for the next input.
Yeah, I guess we'll stick with waiting for, and then I'll not capitalize this M. Use the conversation history and tool call results to determine the current state and proceed accordingly. I love that. Handling error.
I think you had 2 number 4s up there, by the way.
Oh, good call. Thank you.
I have no idea if that matters or not, but less chaos in the system.
Indeed. Handling errors or unclear situations. If fetch news fails, inform the user couldn't. That sounds good. We're going to mock it, so it shouldn't fail, but that would be fine anyway. If pick favorite headline fails or their user response is unclear, gently prompt them again. Love that. If show image fails, so we'll certainly just need an if generate image fails, inform the user there's an issue generating an image. Yep. And if show image fails, inform the user. This, at this point, I guess we'll just say there was an error issue displaying the image. That would be a like fundamental programming error, I would assume. Could only make show image fail. If the user's initial request is ambiguous, love it. Oh, are you ready to start the news to image process? This is great. Important guidelines. Be creative and insightful. Explain your choices. Maintain a conversational tone. Follow the defined multi-step flow accurately. Clearly indicate which step you are performing. I am happy with this. Any changes that you're feeling right now?
I think we kind of got it. I kind of just want to get it in there and see what happens, you know?
Yep. So the next thing that we need to do is actually define these tools.
Yeah. Even if they're stubbed out to start, right? Like we can.
Yeah. So in Gemini tools, we see the old set color thing. So what I think we want Gemini to rewrite for us is a version of this file that basically has 4 of these. And they are the 4 actions that we were just talking about. And then handle function call is, of course, going to have more switch statement or more entries in its switch statement. And then there will be 4 versions of handle set color. And this, in those 4 versions of handle set color is where I think Gemini will have some like to-dos or stubs or something like that. Okay, let's try that prompt. Oh, generate unit tests. Well, for a markdown file, that wouldn't work too well, but I appreciate the offer.
Is it going to test your spelling every time? Like, what is it doing?
Yeah, I think this is a hard-coded follow-up. All right, the next thing, first of all, I think Gemini deserves a cookie. It did great. Next, please rewrite the, I'm going to use the file pointer again with the @ Gemini tools file. The color scheme here isn't very good. I have no idea what's selected. I often have to just click it myself. But that is probably the theme that I'm using. Next, please rewrite the Gemini tools.dart file in the spirit of the changes we just made to system prompt. Please reread the system prompt file, as I have made changes to the version you originally produced. I don't know if that's going to work. But I'm going to press the button and then read chat while it thinks. People talking about, yeah, where the LLM is writing the code to, well, it's going to be. It's doing that now in theory. Writing the code to instruct itself. Yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah, LLM writing the markdown that derives the code that the LLM will also write, which is used to instruct the LLM to do all the work. It's like the wildest thing ever. All right, let's see what else we have here. So I'm just going to apply the changes to start. I think that'll be the way to view them. And I'm going to accept. And now we read. All right, so it's confused about something. So fetch news doesn't take any parameters. That's fine, I think. Also, let's first just see what the issue is here. I think the type of... Well, I didn't change the imports. I think it's got the wrong data structure for parameters. So what was it before? Parameters before, we can see, was just a map. So it's like wrapping it in this schema.object thing, and that
maybe just an empty
ain't right. Yeah, so I think this is this. And then we'll do the same thing here, get rid of the wrapping schema.object, and then we'll come back and read everything. How did I only edit the white space? I think I was doing it right. Oh, something's wrong here as well. Prompt schema.string. Oh, because I can't edit code. Okay. Here we go. All right, it's got 4 tools. That's a good start. So the first one, yeah, fetch news. We're going to hard code this, so that is appropriate, I think. One second. Gesundheit to me. Second tool, pick favorite headline. Presents exactly 3 headlines, blah, blah, blah. So this is an array of containing 3 headlines, and the items are a string. That seems good. The fourth one, generate image. Takes a string. That is the prompt. Oh, the image should be generated. Very good. And the last one, show image. Takes image data, typically base 64 encoded. Okay, that seems hopefully right. And then we declare all the tools. And yep, now we expect to see some stubs that we're going to have to fill in here. Handle function call. So this is good. It's interesting. These breaks are definitely not necessary. So I'm going to get rid of them.
Thanks, Analyzer.
Yep. I trust the blue squiggly line. And these could basically all just be returned. Oh, no, we want to log them. Okay. And then we return. Nice. that seems good. Fetch news does in fact call fetch news. Pick goes to pick. Generate goes to generate. Show. Love it. All right. In the methods themselves, handle fetch news. It's already giving us some fake XML. That's wonderful.
That's adorable.
We don't really even need to change this, though we could if we want. And it returns that, and then it catches an error. Failed to return hard-coded string. That would be a rough day, but there is error handling, so cool. One day we would, of course, make a network request here, and then this catch would be legit. All right, moving on. We are maybe not even going to have to edit that. That's wonderful. Handle pick favorite headline. So this gets the headlines. Oh, I wonder if we still don't really have a place where the headlines are being extracted. Let's see here. Implement interaction with UI for headline selection. This likely involves getting the headline list from arguments. Yeah, which is, we'll see where that's going to happen. Is it actually doing like XML parsing? What is this? Arguments. Oh, headlines. No, it's assuming this has already been done. And it has not been done. So that we don't have handled yet. Updating state notifier. Yep, we don't have that yet. We'll have to, when we get to the UI edits, we're definitely going to add some new notifiers. Waiting for the user, returning the selected headline. Sounds good. Okay. Headlines. And then we assert that it should be 3. Anyway, huge hand waving here. Headlines are not yet extracted. And then, there's a try. What is this doing? Select. We're still in the same function of pick the favorite. Okay. Interesting. So simulate the user picking the second headline after a delay. This is not very helpful. Oh, but it has commented out talking to the RiverPod state management. Oh, interesting. Okay. That's cool. So we will be able to, when we get to the UI part, we will be able to actually add this notifier, uncomment this stuff, get rid of this simulation, and maybe the rest of the function will work. That's super cool. And it returns the selected headline. Okay, we see here some structured data about returned values from tools. I was calling this out earlier as a thing I didn't know how that was going to work. So a little indicator here. And in fact, all of these methods return, they have a return type. What did the old one do from Brett's Code Lab? This is not the best. Oh, can I make this bigger? There we go.
There you go.
So the old one, I'm too high up in the file. Oh gosh, this is going to be, where was it? Handle function call. Handle set color. Here we go. So handle set color returned a map string object. We are now returning everywhere a future of map string object. Okay, cool. This is good. What is the one around now? Yeah, handle generate image. Lovely. So it assumes it has a prompt. It also is ready to use an image service to call the thing. So yeah, we're just going to like try to call image in or something. And we'll get back image data that it is also faking. This, of course, can't be decoded into an actual image. So we will definitely fall apart on our simulated version here. But I like this method broadly. Handle show image is not really mocking anything yet. So it's verifying its inputs. And then again here, this is super helpful. It's like, hey, you're going to need these different classes. They don't exist yet, of course, so they're commented out. And then here we are, for now, just log it. Okay. Yeah, that might be correct. I don't know. All right. That seems pretty good. Now, I believe the next change that we need to make, there's obviously a lot. We're going to revisit this file repeatedly. The next change that I think we need to make, that was in Gemini tools.dart. And next, why is chat service mad? I wasn't expecting anything here. Where's the red? Gemini tools handle function call. It's now async. What are the implications of this? Process block. I don't know. We'll come back to that. The next thing that we're going to need to do, I believe, is in the Gemini file, we have just one Gemini model, which uses the system prompt, and that's fine, but we're going to need another one to generate the image. I think we should use Imagen 3. I was talking to Khan about this, and she's got a big demo for a talk she's either giving or gave or something. I don't know where we are in the timeline of life that generates things. And she gave me some code samples, and so I think we should just use the Imagen model. So let's ask Gemini to rewrite this file next. Interrupt me at any time, by the way, Andrew.
Yep, I'm keeping up. You're going pretty good.
All right. Here we go. So in Gemini.dart is our next step. So first of all, great. Next, please rewrite Gemini.dart. That's the one. To add an additional image generation model for step no, I don't remember the order or the number for the generate image step we have been talking about. See what we get.
Also kind of get the copyright statement in there.
Oh. Though. Wait, did we actually update the year now? Didn't we always put like 2014 or something in there?
This is a new project as of this year. So I think it would happen 2025.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to accept the changes. By the way, it took me a while. I literally didn't think that Code Assist had a ability to apply the changes automatically, but it is this little button right here, preview change, and then you accept it. And then you don't have to copy the diff over yourself. Okay, let's see here. So we've got our chat model is a renamed version. Before it just said like get model or something. And so the system prompt, so that's fine. I think this is all fine. It's not using Pro anymore. Don't know if that will matter. It does say that Flash is suitable for most tasks. So
yeah, 1.5 though. Preview.
We'll verify that. System instruction, that's good. This is the system prompt that it pulls out from all the tooling, grabs all the tools, looks good. And then here's the image generation model. This is the new method we wanted it to write. There's a bunch of green. I don't know why. Oh, we're going to have to run the code generator, right? Because this river pod decorator implies a build step. So we'll have to run that ourselves. Imagen, maybe this is correct.
I can double check that real quick. Just a second.
Okay, great.
Vertex AI, Firebase. Pardon my thunderous typing.
You know, I grew up in Michigan where there's a lot of thunderstorms. And now I live in California where there are not any. So in some sense, it's a little soothing. Chat model provider.future. I don't know what's going on here. Chat. Oh, yes. This is correct. I think we just have to run the build step. So I'm going to do that in a new tab. Please load, Z-Shell. Thank you. So here I'm going to run delete conflicting. There we go. Dart run, build runner, build. Hopefully this works. Looking at chat.
There we go. So in the StreamYard chat, I just sent you the current Imagen and the current Gemini 2.5 Flash.
Okay. Yeah. Randall confirms 2.5, pretty decent. 1.5, pretty old.
Pretty decent is what we aim for generally, I think.
Yeah. Certainly on this stream.
Yeah.
And what else we got here? Okay, so you have sent the codes. Love that. Thank you. So it generated things, and we have the same number of errors. It was 17 before, 17 after. It's not my favorite outcome. What did I copy first? So this is the Imagen model code. Oh, interesting. Okay, paste and copying the Flash model code. Oh my goodness gracious. There we are. Okay. Why did it not generate what I thought we were going to get?
What do you mean?
There's still use with caution. Suggested code may be subjected to licenses. Oh, wait. What? How does it know that this is suggested code? Oh, boy, I'm real confused here. Use with caution. Suggested code may be subject to licenses.
That's...
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to not worry about that for now. I'm also going to get rid of this. All right, so this I expected to go away. Undefined name chat model provider. I thought the build step was going to make us a chat model provider. So let's see what is in Gemini.g.dart. As everyone knows, reading generated code is what's super fun. So Gemini model provider. This is unintelligible. Auto Gemini model. So it doesn't have Gemini model in its scope. Chat model. Right. This used to be Gemini model. So first of all, we could just rename this Gemini model. Or no, get model. What was it called? Let's look at this old UI again. Yeah. Oh, it was called Gemini model, not get model. So I don't know why that change hasn't propagated. Like, why are other things remembering Gemini model? Where is that happening if it's not from the name of this function that's being decorated? You know? I mostly ref chat model provider. So I mean, if I were to say Gemini model provider, does it remember that? It does still remember that. Where are you coming from, my friend? In the file. Did it not build? Did I build in like the wrong place?
Are you in the wrong folder or something like that?
So I'm in step 7 here, and I believe I think I'm in the right folder. So it didn't. Yeah, we've got Gemini model here. It definitely just didn't generate because we also do not have the image generation model anywhere in here. Why? What is this saying? It thinks it built. I even had the delete conflicting outputs. I'm gonna look at chat. Whenever I get really confused, somebody in chat knows the answer. All right. Well, we're not getting built out yet. Why didn't this rebuild?
Is your Gemini Dart isn't saved? That's why, potentially.
Oh,
I've done that.
Yeah, the apply changes button doesn't save them. It only applies them. You told it to like not just run. It did. Yeah, it did rebuild. I think it was the not save thing. But I appreciate the effort brainstorming. Yeah, it's thinking harder this time.
Took longer this time.
Yeah. All right, what do we have now? We have image generation and we have chat model provider. Lovely. Coming back here. Now I screwed this up because now this should say chat, and now that works. Great. The Gemini model provider. So this is now chat model provider. in the argument type here. Okay, so we're back to this argument type. Gonna have to think about. We have to actually understand what's going on. So process block. This is part of the streaming implementation to handle the fact that Gemini, burps up a couple words at a time, and then the UI displays those as they come back on the connection. So that's what process block is doing. That's what the block is in this context. I'm like 99% sure. Yep, now I'm 100% sure because here is the code that's consuming the response stream. So process block, it already is async here. So yeah, we're async friendly. So what if I just do this? Gemini tools handle function call. This feels fine. Maybe. Because we're actually, this is funny, right? This code that we're looking at here is a parameter to another method, which is, I think, fine. So this is the chat session. We're sending a response, which has, this is in the function calls thing, right? So Gemini tools, where do we actually call the function? Handle function call. And then the response of that is just going to be okay, I think this is
that's the handle function calls a bit that looks like method channels, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So it just wasn't, it was synchronous before. Now it's not. That's fine. Amazing. Okay. I'm excited. What does this dart convert? Oh, right. Because we're mocking out image data and we might do something like this. All right, that's fine. I'll leave it in for now.
We have a bunch of to-dos, looks like.
Import necessary providers. Yeah, we got a lot of UI changes to make, which I think like the state changes and whatnot is what we need to get to now. So if we were to run the app now, it would actually, let's see the nature in which the UI and I think it's going to like kind of work until it gets to the image decoding.
Right, which is fine. Like we should run it and just verify that the things are wired up correctly, and then the image generation part's going to get a little wonky, I think, because we're dealing with image data at that point.
Yeah, and there's the UI, still thinks it's displaying a color, but because all of these tools are mocked out, we should be able to proceed through the conversation. The UI will just be kind of like derping along with us, and then it'll struggle at the image moment. All right, let's test that theory. I'm going to go back to this one is running the thing. We'll do a hot restart. There's a problem. Ooh. Yeah, that's the async thing. Did I not save the file again? Am I like, I'm so good at saving files. I swear I've done this before.
It's all right. We do this for a living. It's fine.
Okay, we're back. So describe a color. This is now basically to start the news thing. So
what are we supposed to say? There was a thing in the system prompt.
Oh, I want to say that line from Anchorman. It's okay. I'm here, everyone. I'm here, everyone. We can do the news now. We'll see if that tells it that we want to start the news conversation. All right. It is fetching the latest news. Okay, I've fetched the headlines for you. I present 3 of them now. Right. So we'll probably need to like show the 3 headlines here, or at least put them in the chat.
Or just like you could do that. You could put them. Yeah.
Oh, but this is mocked as well. So we can say like, I like the one, remember? And then it actually hard codes simulating the user picking the first.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because there was a delay.
Yeah, so I like that one headline. So I should just proceed at this point. Great. Please make sure your selection using the interface where the headlines are displayed. Oh, so it doesn't know.
It's trying its best.
I like the second headline. Let's see if it's able to work this out now. Okay, second headline. Please confirm your choice using the selection interface.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have to.
Somehow it's not getting like the close of that function.
Right. Right. So let's revisit that part of code here, because this is the handoff that we knew was going to be kind of the core of our exploration. So this, orienting my brain here, I think we're in Gemini tools, and this is the pick favorite headline function. No, we need to be in Gemini.dart. Or are we in tools? Yeah, we are in tools. Handle pick favorite headline. This is where we're getting stuck. So it is assuming there is a selected, like a UI to do this very concretely. So let's understand what it thinks is happening. Waiting for the user to make a selection. So this is where stuff gets happening. So it wants us to grab a notifier and then call this prompt for selection delay, or this async function that will eventually return the selected headline. What I'm confused about is why this isn't helping it advance.
Yeah, we have a return.
Right. So maybe the prompt is where the problem is. We need to.
Can you go flip back to the UI real quick? Is it showing what's coming in the function call in that trace?
Maybe in a truncated way. Okay, wait. So we have here. Oh, interesting. It is not. So let's revisit where those things get logged. So for example, we saw in the UI like this empty log, fetch news, right? Or no parameters. So where is that getting called? So handle fetch news, blah, 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 blah. It only logs the error in here. So the logging must be happening at a higher level. Or maybe it's like coming from the UI or something. No, that wouldn't make sense. Oh, is that in Gemini.dart? I bet that's in Gemini.dart. I bet. Oh, no. The chat service, I think, is what I meant. The chat service had that loop over like where we made the async change. Where did I make the async change? Process block. Here we go. So maybe it's in actually handle function call. Yes, this is it right here. So it is in fact, handle function call is not getting called. And if handle function call is not getting called, that means no response is indicating to call that function, because we would be getting into here and we would go into Gemini tools and we would see it get called, and we would see what even is the tool. What do we think it should be doing next? Fetch news, pick favorite headline. Yeah, it's not calling pick favorite headline. That's the thing.
It's doing the result and then it's stopping. So it's
interesting. It's behaving like it, though. It's conversationally moving on, but it's not calling the tool.
Okay, what is that? So it says, okay, hold on. Can you go back real quick?
Yep.
To your thing. So it says, okay, I've fetched the latest headlines for you. Where is that on the left side? Like, what's the full version of that? I don't know why I'm pointing at my screen again.
That's your favorite. I've fetched the latest headlines for you. Right. So I think that is the success of fetch news. And then I'll present 3 of them now for you to choose your favorite. So this suggests that part of it knows it's moving on to the next headline, but it's not actually calling that.
Yeah. Do you want to look at the system prompt where we told it the workflow?
Yep.
I think that maybe that's where it's getting confused.
Yep. I agree. So fetch news, fetches latest headline, blah, blah, blah. Probably it's going to be down in the, how to respond here. So successful completion of fetch news. So it seems like this is working. Providing the raw, and then the example response we got. Yeah, it just isn't. It just is not including this. Oh, we've got some confusion in the chat. So I'm going to pause and read this. Bit puzzled trying to follow along. It can be confusing realizing that the LLM is answering with a request to call a function. Then you must reply to the LLM with the result of the call. Yes, I agree. This is a little bit of a mind bender that we, at a minimum, don't seem to be handling correctly yet. it is possible that we have to actually chop up this flow into different prompts, but I don't want to do that because then it is up to us to figure out where we are in the flow, which sounds really complicated. So I'm definitely going to keep trying to get this to work, but yeah, this is like a fundamentally confusing thing to wrap our heads around, especially because we're using Brett's Code Lab. So like, where does the return data get piped in? Oh yeah, it gets just sent right back to the LLM. That's the answer.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is still just a back and forth conversation, right? It's just like the model responds with a statement that is a function call, and then you respond with a statement that is the result of that function.
Yeah. Yep.
But you're still just going back and forth.
Yeah. So that should be wired up correctly. So it's just not calling, it's not including this tool call in the response at the current point in the conversation. So how can we make it do better? Successful completion of I wonder if we could add to each step, like at this step, you must call the tool. Like maybe it thinks it's doing some of this action, but it's not down to part 4 yet. I'm not sure. Does pick favorite headline exactly match the service switch statement?
Oh, do we not have the right name for the pick favorite headline? Do we have a magic string?
Pick favorite headline. Okay. Pick favorite headline. That is a very good thought, though it seems to match. And then the switch statement is the last thing to check. Yes.
Okay.
So that was a very good thought.
In the real world, we want like an enum for that or something.
For sure. Yeah. Though even that's tricky because like, this markdown file is just plain text.
Yeah, that's true.
So action. So I want to try here including like something to the tune of you must, like each step has a tool. You must call the tool at that step. Maybe we try that. So how to respond. Let's put it at the top here. Each step below culminates in the invocation of a tool. When you arrive, let's see, like at each step, you must call the tool to advance. Otherwise, you will get stuck in an infinite loop. You must call that steps tool. All right, let's try this. I think we're just going to do a hot restart here.
Yeah.
All right. We can do the news now. All right. Let's find the interesting news. So this part worked. I fetched the latest news out of these. So it's not doing it. I fetched the latest 3 out of these headlines that could inspire. Great. Can you call the... This is cheating. What's the name of this? Can you call the pick favorite headline tool? This is definitely cheating. I've already called it. Oh, no, I don't think you have. Therein lies the confusion. It has not called the tool to our knowledge. Yeah, and there's no, like, this debug panel has all of the information. It's not like there's something going on that isn't in the debug panel. So it is wrong. What else we have? With properties, blah, blah, blah. Back to having it instruct itself. Yeah. Except it's failing.
Do you want to, so this would be a radical change. Do you want to go back and look at the way Brent had formatted his system prompt?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
In the original, which I think was simpler than what has been generated here.
Sure.
It was just like here's the 4 steps.
Yeah. I'm going to go to step 6 for this task and read the, oh, that's maybe a little too big. Read the system prompt here because it should be the same. All right, so here's how to respond to user inputs when a user describes a color, right? Because this was one step where the only exception to that was clarifying questions. But yeah, we kind of just have like 4 of these, really, you know, because we have 4 steps to the process. This was one step. Then you would call, so example here. Then you would call set color. Oh, let's see. Do we have like, maybe we can make the examples better.
Well, so yes, and I think the other thing I'm looking at is that he has a very clear, if you scroll back up a little bit, or sorry, yeah. He has a very clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas the prompt that we have has multiple sections.
Multiple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, yeah.
And I'm wondering if we just gave it like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like when the user requests says anything, start the process. First, fetch the news via this. Step 2, extract the headlines from the RSS feed. Extract the headlines. Step 3, pick the 3 most uplifting ones. Step 4, call this function to get the user to pick the final one.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. So let's get rid. We're going to rewrite this from scratch, I think. I'll write it above before we delete everything. But that is all going to be deleted. Okay. So step 1, this is going to be when the user says anything, call the fetch news. Is that correct? Yep. Call the fetch news tool to load the latest news headlines. Extract.
I would I would make that step 2.
Okay. Step 2, extract the raw string, the raw headlines as strings from the XML. Step 3. Next is call the pick favorite headline tool.
So here we've got. Okay, so at the end of step 2, it just has all the headlines, right? Do we want to have a step 3 that's like pick the 3 that are the most positive?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And then step 4 would be call pick favorite headline.
Pick
with those 3, using those 3 as the input.
So choose the 3 most positive or uplifting headlines from the list. Step 4, call the pick favorite headline tool to prompt the user to select
one of those 3 headlines.
Yeah, to select one of those 3 headlines. Step 5, call the generate. So let's see. Do we want any conversion of the headline into an image generation prompt?
Let's just keep it with just call it with the headline.
Yeah, call the generate image. Oh, right. If we want any extra decoration, we could put that in the function call for generate image. Yeah. Call the generate image tool to generate an image for the headline.
And what do you think about stopping right there and just seeing if we can get that working? Or I guess show image is the only thing left, right?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Call the show image tool. It's not how you spell image. Tool to display the image on the screen. Okay, so now we get rid of all of this gobbledygook. Yeah, this is maybe just too complicated.
Yeah, and state management, I don't think was in the original prompt either, was it?
No, and maybe it's just noise.
I have no idea, but this is why we're experimenting, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, in theory, this would do it, right? Do we need to name each step with like idle? And, I don't know. All right, handling errors, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Guidelines, good. Okay, save. Let's run it back. I like this change and have a mild amount of hope. Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. This markdown file, it's not an asset. It's loaded in by dark code. Hopefully a hot restart actually does capture the changes. I think it will.
That's interesting.
Let's do the news.
I should really know the answer about whether assets are hot reloaded. I don't think.
Well, this isn't an asset. That's the thing.
Okay.
All right. So, Hey, let's
doing something different. That's good.
Yeah. All right. We know that headline 2 is going to be hard coded as the selection no matter what I say, because that's what the function does. So just to minimize chaos, I'm going to indicate the second headline. I don't think it will matter, though. I don't know, whatever. I think I could literally say ASDF here, maybe. I like headline 2. Excellent choice. Space miles exploration milestone it is. Actually, a more interesting test would have been to say I like headline 1, and I think it would have still chosen this one. Now I'll generate an image.
So interestingly, looking at the log on the right, it's called 2 of the functions rather than 4 of them, right?
Well, we expected, let's see, what did we expect? Oh, right. It should just go. Oh, this is so interesting. It's not after the user touch point. It's actually just one step, right? After the user, after this, like these are one step, right?
They're from the model's perspective, they're just a serial, 2 calls in serial, right?
Yeah. So maybe because the user doesn't touch, the user is not involved in this process, and therefore maybe it makes sense to wrap this into one conceptual thing.
Yeah, I think you're onto something here. I think it's getting confused where it's expecting a response after each step.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something. And so step 3 and 4 should be merged, right? Choose the 3 most positive or uplifting headlines from the list, and then call the pick favorite headline tool using those 3 headlines as the input.
Yeah. So step 3 goes away. Step 4 gets demoted to step 3. And step 5, whatever, the old numbers don't matter anymore. Call the generate image tool. Actually, so this will just be one tool. So we actually need to make some changes to the tool.
Well, let's see if it could do two for right now. Let's see if it'll do 2 calls in a row.
Okay.
Since we've already got that, just be like, call the image generate image tool to generate an image for the headline, and then call the show image tool to display the image on the screen. And maybe that's not gonna work because those are 2 function calls, that it's got to do.
Yeah. There's no, I don't think it has any capacity to daisy chain itself.
Yes,
because unless this actually could create a loop here.
Well, maybe 4 and 5 should stay 4 and 5, because it's going to be call a function, get the function response, call a function, get the function response. That is giving it the back and forth that it expects between steps.
Yeah, that could.
And so maybe 4 and 5 were correct as they were, but on step 3, like I said, I think you hit the nail on the head.
But it also got stuck. It didn't call generate image, so it got stuck after this. Anyway, let's see what this does. Restart. Here we go.
Who is it that just put in the chat? Oh, now they got a result. Thank you. We did get a result.
Yeah, look at us.
I hope you're enjoying part 2 of this 6-part series where we try to
do literally anything.
Yeah. Oh, no, it stopped.
Yeah, so less good this time. Huh. You know what? One of the other variables here is that we are using Flash, and we can use Pro. So why don't we do that?
That'd be an interesting question.
Where it's yeah. So could you grab the model code for me?
Yeah, it'd be Pro instead of Flash, and then the date on it, I guess the training or the release date is 03/25.
Okay, yeah, that's what we had last week. All right, let's try again. Restart. News time.
Non-determinism.
Worse. Distinctly worse. But I want news. right. Unable to submit request. It must include at least one parts field which describes the prompt's input. We may have just hot restarted ourselves into a problem. I don't know. Couldn't you have the LLM generate an image for you and then return it? Possibly.
So this is sort of where we ended up in the previous episode, where we had our system prompt going, and then we threw it whole, the entire thing into I think it was 2.5 Pro, and it did generate an image for us.
It did.
And so the answer to your question is yes. The interesting bit is like, where do you want to be able to step into the process that the model is using to change it and monitor it? Like where do you want to review what it's doing? There we go. And also, like, how do you, if you hand over the entire, interesting.
Malformed function call. Oh, that suggested it may have tried to call a function, which is good. I think the first three sound the most interesting and potentially uplifting. Oh, that's interesting. It showed us all four, but then like it was like, hey, but maybe focus on these three. Okay. Oh, interesting. Interesting.
What was did it call a function? Did it hallucinate a function call?
I bet the error is on our laps. I'm just reading the stack trace for any of the code in our stuff, and there's none. So maybe it's not our error. This whole problem is in the Firebase Vertex AI library. Something we did. Oh, a growable list? Was it like... I do wonder about the 3 headlines, like if something went wrong there.
Going back again to like what Brett has in his working code lab, he has a preamble that specifically states the functions, which I don't think we have in this version.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Do we? Oh, no, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
I think it's... I don't know if we need to do this 3 headline thing. Why don't we not ever aim to show that on the UI, and we'll just conversationally indicate one of the headlines and see if it can move forward with that.
Okay.
So for pick favorite headline, I think this would be... Is this even a function call, or is this just conversation that we have?
Well, if we want to know, we need structured output in some form from the model if we're going to display widgets, right?
I'm proposing, well, maybe a more rich example is that a user would want to display widgets. So yeah, okay, let's stick with structured output. Presents exactly 3 headlines for the user, returns the raw unprocessed feed. I super suspect that it's the construction of these parameters that is broken. Actually, I don't super suspect. I kind of blindly suspect. Requires list of 3 headlines. And then let's look at those function implementations again. So fetch news does this, and we expected this to return the raw XML, which it does. And then handle pick favorite headline. What did we say that was going to do or return? Requires a list of 3 headlines as inputs and returns the headline selected by the user as the output. Okay. And this isn't the right file. Tools is what we want. This does grab a selected headline and return it. So that feels correct. But at no point did we have the 3 headlines to show in the UI.
Is that what it was trying to do when it sent us, when we saw that malformed function call error?
It possibly did, but did it ever? Let's see I think we need to print headlines here.
Good old print statement debugging.
News, baby. All All right, here we go. It's working through the first tool. And we are not getting a print statement. So that's a surprise. Because it hasn't called the function yet. We do not have a clear handle around the transition of control from the LLM doing everything to user input. But let's see what happens here when I say headline 1 is awesome, and it will ignore that and use headline 2. So it should say space exploration milestone. Nope. Okay, we just don't have any idea how any of this works. It now is calling generate image. Whoa. And it's got the hard-coded stuff. So it just skipped ever calling the headline tool, but it conversationally completed the task anyway. Super interesting.
Yes, it's not working the way we want, but it's fascinating.
What did we write in the prompt? Choose the 3 most positive or uplifting headlines from the list, then call, and it just didn't do this. What if we try this? So extract the through and choose the 3 most positive.
Then wait, didn't you already change that once?
Yeah, I'm for the function calling, like it called this function. So I'm wondering if we just kind of make the function call here more prominent by putting it at the beginning of the step, if it'll be better. So call tool and pass it the 3 most positive headlines from step 2. Then wait for the user to select one of those 3 headlines. And this will be the selected headline. And so that's also why, right. It skipped. Remember, I said, I'm going to indicate headline 1. It should use headline 2. It didn't do that because it didn't call the method. So it never hit the hard-coded selection of the first index, which would be headline 2. All right, saving the new prompt, and we're running it again. And we said when the user says anything, right? So I like turtles. This should start the process. Who amongst us does not like turtles? Hallucinations as a service. That's great. Okay, it is still not calling any methods. Let's go with headline 3. And it's going to use this now because it's not actually calling the method. Oh, that's so fun that it made a Flutter headline for us. I didn't even notice that. That's great.
Wait, is that actually in the
the data that it mocked? Yeah.
Okay.
Because these 2, I've never read headline 3 before, but I have read headline 1 and 2, and they have,
Me too.
They have been this the whole time. So it then calls generate image. Can't get it to call pick. So why is it not doing this? Extract the 3. It's also not ever doing the 3 thing. Oh no, it did this time. Last time it didn't. This time it did. Because there is 4, right? We can see right here. There is 4 in the mocked data, and it truncated the 4th for us. These are probably also the most interesting, so we could even think that it maybe did choose the most positive, and then it's just not calling pick favorite headline. I'm not really sure how to get it to do that, but that is how we would show something on the screen.
What if you just eliminated step 2? Just eliminate step 2 and renumber the others. What does it do?
So everything is a function call. Certainly willing to try. ISDF. Should start the process. Okay. Thinking. Failing.
Really hates that function.
This time it also... Yeah, I guess maybe that is where it failed. Oh, wait. No, yeah, it's not calling it. Well, we're just getting these empty responses. That almost feels like a transient error. Let's try again. It's news time, baby. Calls fetch news. That part works. Here we go. Step 1, fetch it. Incredible. It is not working. Anyway, whatever.
We got to go look at the plant debugger and figure out how that worked.
Oh, right.
Because that is exactly what we're trying to do. For those of you on the stream who were not at Google Cloud Next, we had a demo that was set up that was doing this kind of thing, where it's like you're working with an agent, but you want to use actual UI instead of just chatting.
Hi, Steph. Great to see you. We're struggling here. Not new to this show. So do you want to watch the live? I think the whole thing is vaguely instructive. I hope, at least. But we have not cracked the code yet. So the answer to how to do this is still elusive. And we're also getting, I wonder if this is because it's the preview model. Like, I don't know if this is leading to some of these broken responses that are just literally empty. I don't even know what to make of that. Like, really? The LM said nothing. What does that mean? So let's go back to, I don't think we ever got a nothing response from Flash. So I'm going to go back to Flash and continue to hope and pray. News time. So it's calling.
I mean, isn't the real story here that it's working really well on that first function call?
All right, this one also, this is as far as we ever got with Flash. All right. Well, guess what? Oh, Randall's the correct level of puzzled. That's lovely. I think we need to call in some resources here to figure out how this is supposed to work. There's obviously some magic sauce somewhere that we ain't got. But this must be known, like you mentioned. Yeah, who would have thought? Struggling on Observable. There's... Brett might know, the people who made that demo, which has intermediate steps, they might know. But we'll have to do some research and figure out. I don't know if this adventure will be concluded on the stream. It might next week, though I had kind of told Chris Sells that he would be the guest next week. So maybe he wants to just work on this with me.
You might. I mean, that sounds like a good plan. Have Chris on. He can explain, because he's been working with this sort of workflow. Speaking of the plant debugger, for a long time, and can probably offer some suggestions here. And then once you know how to do it, I can come back on and look like a genius while you work through the problem. How about that?
Okay. So potentially are you relinquishing your guest chair to Chris next week, or do you?
Yeah, I think especially since I know you already bumped him once.
For you,
I would
as
absolutely
it
do
were.
that.
Yeah. Okay. So potentially next week's stream will be with Chris, if it works for his schedule still and all that stuff. And if he wants to bang his head against this with us, then that might be where we try to make more progress here. Sounds like it's going to be Agentic Apps Part 3 next week with a different squad, some rotation, and maybe we'll actually make some headway and get the LLM to call the tools. We didn't get it today. Yeah, the struggles are real, aren't they? And I don't know what I'm doing with this, it turns out. Few people do. It's It's that new. All right. Well, Andrew, I think that is going to do it for us today. Any closing thoughts on your end?
No, just I said before, the thing that excites me about what's going on with the Agentic apps and all the new tools that we have is that the problems haven't been solved yet. A couple of years from now, we'll have patterns that we've sort of figured out and adopted that make all this easier and more, better understood and stuff like that. And so I think we're just in the figuring things out phase right now.
That's what you and I are telling ourselves, at least, because you and I are in the figuring things out phase.
Publicly figuring things out phase. Yeah, it's also interesting. We have multiple engineers on the team who have months of experience with this stuff, and we pick the newbies to go on a live stream.
So smart of us. Such smart. Yeah. True. Khan also potentially, if she even had the time to watch this, might just be like, these idiots.
Yeah.
If only they knew the
and poor Brett watching us, mess around and destroy his code lab.
Yeah. All right. Well, destroy things. That's what we do. That's what we're good at. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this bumbling attempt today that led ultimately close to nowhere. Maybe next week's will reach escape velocity and produce some new UI, but we'll all have to wait and see. And everyone, until then, happy fluttering.